Good morning, everyone. We are on a Path Changer morning here on Tuesday morning, April 20th, 2021. And I have the amazing privilege and honor to introduce our speaker this morning, Angela Christine, who is just an amazing, amazing individual who she does not know the power of her own words. She is such a natural, you guys. She's such a natural. She's in front of the screen and it just flows so perfectly, and she does not believe that. But we're getting her to see that and come up with that confidence that she needs to see, that we see in her, because she is amazing. So, Angela, what do you have planned for us today?
Why, thank you, Miss Colette. You're right. I am challenging myself each week by speaking and teaching and all that good stuff. Let me put it back on gallery so I don't have to stare at myself. So that, I stretch and grow and evolve in all of this, right? Get comfortable with being uncomfortable is our motto around here, right? So, yes, I suggested the book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. And I did a little video at the beginning of the month saying, hey, this is an awesome book. I read this book many, many, many years ago. He's actually my favorite spiritual mentor that I have followed since I was pretty little. I think, around 14 or 15 when I learned about Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I've had the privilege of seeing him live in person speak. And I just resonate with everything that he says. And he puts things in a way that make it a little more easy to understand. He gives a lot of examples. And so for me, he's just always been my go-to. And what I love about this particular book, it's a very small book. It's only 100 and something pages. And he really just kind of fine-tunes a lot of his teachings and principles into these 10 secrets. So today we're going to go through just the first one that he talks about for success and inner peace. And this really taps into our spiritual pillar that we mention as far as the 7 pillars. So I'm excited to share this with you. And I'm going to do a lot of reading because I don't think very many of you probably have the book yet. So just bear with me. I'm going to do some reading. I'm going to do some sharing, and we'll just kind of go from there. Got to put my glasses on. You know how that happens at like age 40? Things just start changing all of a sudden out of nowhere. It's the weirdest thing. So just to kind of start off with this first secret that he talks about, and I'm going to tell you what the title of the first secret is. Have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. We have our own power quote that is marry the process, divorce the results. So they're kind of similar in that way. But this goes obviously pretty deep into the spiritual side of, what he's having to say about have a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing. And, he talks about in the beginning, that we were born into a certain type of family life, certain political views, certain spiritual or religious beliefs based on our tribe, our ancestors. And so we were kind of conditioned a little bit in a way when we were first born, although we were born innately to just be have infinite possibilities. But because of the type of, family we grew up in, or peers or whatever, that kind of starts to condition us from an early age. And so he's all about, releasing those conditions and those attachments to what we think, or what we were told, I should say, that we need to believe in, and just be open to all possibilities. And he says that, these 10 secrets allow your spirit to guide you. And I love that. And to avoid any feelings of inadequacies, and, help you feel the peace inside, that we were given innately. We were given that peace from the moment that we were first conceived. So that's kind of how he starts off. And then I'm going to just kind of skip through some of this stuff. But he says, having a mind that is open to everything and attached to nothing seems to me to be one of the most basic principles that you can adopt to contribute to individual and world peace. And then he goes in to talk about no one knows enough to be a pessimist. And it's really true if you think about it, because he goes on to say that there's billions of planets out there, objects and stars in our galaxy. And, when we speak, about this vast universe that has no end to it, he says, think about this. If we found the end, would there be a wall at the edge of the universe? And if so, who built it? And even more perplexing, what's on the other side of the wall and how thick is it? So how can anyone be a pessimist in a world where we know so little? A heart starts beating inside a mother's womb a few weeks after conception, and it's a total mystery to everyone on our planet. In comparison to what there is to know, we are only embryos. Keep this in mind whenever you encounter those who are absolutely certain that there's only one way to do something. So he talks about resist being a pessimist, resist with all your might, because we hardly know anything at all in comparison with what there is to know. And then this is a good point. He says, can you imagine what a pessimist who lived only 200 years ago would think about the world we live in? We have airplanes, electricity, automobiles, television, remote controls, the internet, fax machines, cellular phones, and so on. All because of that spark of open-mindedness that allowed progress, growth, and creativity to flourish. So an open mind allows you to explore and create and grow. A closed mind seals off any such creative explanation. Remember that progress would be impossible if we always did things the way we always have. The ability to participate in miracles, true miracles in your life, happens when you open your mind to limitless potential. Refuse to allow yourself to have low expectations about what you're capable of creating. As Michelangelo suggested, the greater danger is not that your hopes are too high and you fail to reach them, it's that they're too low and you do. Have with you, I like this is a good visualization, have with you an imaginary candle flame that burns brightly regardless of what goes before you. Let this inner flame represent for you the idea that you're capable of manifesting miracles in your life. In every single case of a person experiencing a spontaneous healing or overcoming something that was considered to be impossible, the individual went through a complete reversal of personality. Okay, I got to stop there and tell you a story. I witnessed this with my son. This is a great story, a true story. So in 2016, my son, I was living here in Arizona at the time, my son reached out to me and he started feeling really sick. And he didn't know what was going on. I mean, we just assumed it was, just kind of a stomach flu or something in the beginning. But as the months went on, a couple months into it, it was like there's something more than what's happening, than the norm. Long story short, got back to California a few months later because he couldn't work. He was ill every single day. He ended up moving in with my husband and I, and because he was renting a home with some friends and couldn't obviously afford rent, so he moved in with us. And I literally was witnessing my son so sick every single day. I mean, he was waking up 4 to 5 in the morning. He was in the bathroom. He was just depleted. I mean, he was throwing up. He had diarrhea. He had massive headaches. I mean, he just was a mess. And we went, obviously, to the doctor and did some testing, stool, urine, blood testing, and nothing was coming up. Like, everything was like negative or whatever. I mean, there was nothing out of norm. So then we went even further, and I paid for a colonoscopy, and also they took samples from his, stomach. I mean, I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, on all these doctor visits and all these things, and they just kept coming to us and saying we don't know what's wrong. and now we're like a year into this. And I mean, you can imagine, seeing your child just so depressed. I mean, he was suicidal. It was just awful. I mean, he was like, I can't live like this, and I don't want to live like this, and the doctors have no answers. So I had heard through a mutual friend that there was a lady who did these healings, and I've been very open-minded to just about everything out there in life, but my son has not been that person. So I go to him and I say, I found this lady. She does these healings, and I would really like for you to go see her. And he was like, oh, Mom, you're all this woo-woo stuff, that you believe in. It's so fake and, blah, blah. He just starts giving me a hard time. And I said, well, you know what? We've exhausted all these other avenues, and the doctors have no answers. So let's just give it a try. I don't want you to waste your money. I said, look, I've already spent thousands and thousands of dollars. What's another couple hundred, And I said, just please go into it with an open mind. And whatever, Mom, I'll try, So he goes to his first session, and he comes out of it, and he's like, well, I don't know that I really noticed anything big, but I did kind of feel a sense of something shifting and changing. And I said, okay, that's good. Just stay open. And then, we had waited about 3 months to go see a specialist for stomach related issues. And he'd only gone to 2 of the 5 sessions that I paid for. And we finally get to this doctor's appointment because he's thinking, this is going to be the answer. This is the doctor that's going to give me the answers and is going to help me. So we go to that doctor's appointment, and the doctor looks at everything we had done, and he says, there's nothing more we can do for you. You're just going to have to live with this. You're just going to have to deal with it. And we left that appointment, and on the car ride home, he was just bawling. My heart was breaking because I felt so bad and helpless, that feeling. So I had asked him, hey, her name is Michelle. I said, have you contacted Michelle? I mean, you still have, a couple sessions left. And he says, I'll call her right now. So we called her, and she happened to have an opening that same day. So we went into that session, and I talked to him the next day, and it sounded like he was a completely different person than the person that I had known for the last year plus. And I said to him, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Mom, I feel like a whole new person. I'm completely feel different. He goes, I'm going to tell you some things that you're not going to believe. And I said, no, I'll believe him. Tell me. I want to hear. And he basically went on to say that through this session, and I know, he didn't say this, but I know that after seeing that specialist, he had finally just released the whole idea that a doctor is going to heal him. And he knew that this is probably my only option at this point, is to be completely open to whatever this healing session is about, and not hold any judgments against it or whatever. And he told me that he saw himself as a baby again in this time of being, in this meditative state, and that he was completely healed. And that same evening after this healing session, he had like a bloated stomach for over 1.5 years, even though he was not keeping any food in and sick daily. He had a bloated, gut. And he said, Mom, 2 hours after the session, I got home, or when I was home, I got undressed, and he goes, my stomach's gone. And I said, what do you mean your stomach's gone? He goes, remember how big my stomach has been? And I said, yeah. He says, it's like gone. And he goes, and I woke up this morning like normal at 6:30, and I didn't rush to the bathroom. And he says, I am just completely different. I mean, it was just like, it was literally a miracle. It really was. It was an absolute miracle. And I'm so thankful that he finally, it took a little bit of time, that he finally was open to the infinite possibilities of being healed in a way that he never thought he could be healed, after a year and a half, almost a year and a half. So, like I said, I witnessed a miracle. He witnessed a miracle. And the lady who did the session said, who's done thousands of sessions with people all over the world, remotely and in person. She said, I saw and felt some things that I have never experienced before in all my years of doing this. And she said it made her weep. And it was literally a miracle. So anyways, back to the book. I just had to share that because it so correlates with being open to everything. And my son is a perfect example. So what's so cool about that too is now my son is so much more open to anything and everything just because of that amazing experience that he had. So I love that because he used to be a little pessimistic little child. And he's not anymore. He has complete faith and belief, in God and in spirit and in all kinds of things that he never was open to before. So I love that he had that experience. All right, so then he goes in to say, understand that what you think about expands. If your thoughts are filled with doubt and you have a closed mind, you will of necessity act upon those closed-minded doubts. And you'll see evidence of your thinking virtually everywhere you are. On the other hand, should you decide, and make no mistake about this, it is a choice to have a mind that's open to everything, then you'll act upon that inner energy, and you'll be the creator as well as the recipient of miracles wherever you are. You will experience what Walt Whitman meant when he wrote, "To me, every inch of space is a miracle." So what is being open to everything? What does that mean? Everything means just what it says, no exceptions. When someone suggests something to you that conflicts with your conditioning, rather than responding with, "That's ridiculous, we all know that's impossible," say, "I've never considered that before. I'll think about it." Open yourself up to the spiritual ideas of all people and listen with an open mind to crazy schemes and ideas that at first seem to be outrageous. If someone suggests, this was written a long time ago, by the way, if someone suggests that crystals can cure hemorrhoids, that natural herbs can lower cholesterol, that people will eventually be able to breathe underwater, or that levitation is possible, listen and be curious. Let go of your attachments to what you've been trained to believe. Open your mind to all possibilities, because whether you believe something is possible or impossible, either way you'll be right. How can that be true? Your agreement with reality and all that's possible determines what you'll become. If you're convinced that you can't become wealthy, famous, artistic, a professional athlete, a great singer, or whatever, you will act upon that inner conviction that prevents you from manifesting what you'd really like, and that you'll get from your effort is being right. All that you'll get from your effort is being right. When you need to be right, you're attached to the conditioned reflex of the way things are and always have been, and you assume they will always be. And we already know what assuming does, assumptions, right? No assumptions. So now he goes into releasing your attachments and how to do that. The first secret has two components: a mind that is open to everything, and number two, a mind that is attached to nothing. Your attachments are the source of all your problems. The need to be right, to possess someone or something, to win at all costs, to be viewed by others as superior, these are all attachments. The open mind resists these attachments and consequently experiences inner peace and success. To release attachments, you have to make a shift in how you view yourself. If your primary identification is with your body and your possessions, your ego is the dominant force in your life. If you contain your ego sufficiently, you'll call upon your spirit to be the guiding force in your life. I've always said, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. As a spiritual being, you can observe your body and be a compassionate witness to your existence. Your spiritual aspect sees the folly of attachments because your spiritual self is an infinite soul. Nothing can make you happy or successful. These are your inner constructs that you bring to your world rather than what you receive from it. If you think peaceful thoughts, you'll feel peaceful emotions, and that's what you'll bring to your every life situation. If you're attached to being right or absolutely need something in order to be at peace or to be successful, you'll live a life of striving yet never arriving. I've always said that to my husband. We say that to each other. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? It's possible to have a burning desire yet not have attachments. You can have an inner vision of what you intend to manifest and still detach yourself from an outcome. And he says, how? Well, consider this observation. And there's a book called A Course in Miracles. It's a great book. Infinite patience produces immediate results. Sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? Infinite patience implies an absolute certainty that what you'd like to manifest will indeed show up in perfect order and exactly on time. The immediate result you receive from this inner knowing is a sense of peace. When you detach from the outcome, you're at peace, and you'll ultimately see the fruits of your convictions. All right, so here's something to think about, everybody. Suppose you had a choice between two magic wands. With wand A, you can have any physical thing you desire by simply waving it. With wand B, you can have a sense of peace for the rest of your life, regardless of what circumstances arise. Which one would you pick? Which one would you pick? A guarantee of stuff or inner peace for the remainder of your life? If you opt for peace, guess what? You already have wand B. Simply have a mind that is open to everything but attached to nothing. Let it all come and go as it will. Enjoy it all, but never make your happiness or success dependent on an attachment to anything, any place, and particularly any person. In all your relationships, you can love someone enough to allow them to be exactly what they choose to be without any expectations or attachments from you. You'll know true peace in your lifetime. True love means you love a person for what they are, not for what you think they should be. This is an open mind and an absence of attachment. And that is secret number 1. So with me sharing all of that and my own personal story, I'd like to open it